Assemblyman mentioned my father. I remember driving back and forth from Queens to Brooklyn because I'm born and raised in Queens. My father was from Queens. He married a Brooklyn girl. So it was a mixed marriage from the start. A lot of tension between those two. But we would drive back and forth, and everything was about the timing on the Kosciuszko Bridge. And whatever time you hit the Kosciuszko Bridge was the wrong time to hit the Kosciuszko Bridge. I think if you add up all the time that I spent on the Kosciuszko Bridge, it would be about a year of my life was spent in traffic on the Kosciuszko. I remember as a young boy, my father coming down the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway trying to get over the bridge, and it would just stop. It would just stop at the beginning of the bridge. And my father would bang the steering wheel and he would say, "We didn't make it through Death Valley." Now, I never knew why he called it Death Valley, but that's what he called it. I thought it just meant the traffic was so bad that it was Death Valley. When you're coming from the Queens side, to your right is the cemetery. That's why he called it Death Valley, because between the cemetery and the traffic on the bridge. And it was one of those situations that even though it was terrible and the bridge needed to be changed and everybody knew it, it just went on year after year after year after year. And so much of life and so much of government is seeing these challenges and saying, you know what, we're going to take this challenge on. I know it's big, I know it's daunting, I know it's expensive, I know it's complicated, but we live in the state of New York, we don't live in the state of denial, and we don't take no for an answer. And we're going to do it. We're going to do it right, and we're going to do it on time. And not only are we going to replace the Kosciuszko Bridge, but we are going to build a bridge that is going to make us proud. You know, when you live in Queens and you grow up in Queens, or you grow up in Brooklyn or the Bronx or Staten Island, you grow up in an outer borough, right? Where are you from? I'm from an outer borough. That's what they say. You're from an outer borough. They never tell you what is the inner borough. Nobody says, hi, I'm from the inner borough. Well, we know what the inner borough is. You don't have to say it, but we know what it is. And we're from the outer borough. And growing up in an outer borough, maybe I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder that I was from an outer borough. And we wanted to build a bridge that said, you know what? This is one of the most beautiful bridges ever built. And we're going to talk about the Queens skyline and the Brooklyn skyline. And we're not just going to replace this bridge. We're going to replace it with something that is magnificent, that is architecturally significant, that you will see pictures of in books of the great bridges across the world, because that's what Queens deserves, and that's what Brooklyn deserves, and that's exactly what we built. Now, not only did we build the bridge, but we built it on time, we built it on budget, and we pushed and we pushed and we pushed to get it done quickly, because literally every hour, every week, every month mattered. And I want to thank the men and women of Skanska and the men and women of labor who built this bridge and did it safely and gave us a first-class bridge. I want to honor the Kosciuszko Foundation, because Tadeusz Kosciuszko was a legendary American, and in many ways he is as right for the time today as when the bridge was named after him. There's a great debate in this nation now about immigrants. And are immigrants good for the country? Are immigrants bad for the country? Should we deport immigrants? Well, in New York, we say, look, we are all immigrants. You want to deport immigrants? Start with me. I'm from Italian-American poor people who came here for opportunity. And immigrants are a plus for our society. Tadeusz Kosciuszko came, and he was an asset when we were fighting the legendary war. He was a great builder, a great engineer. He helped build West Point. He helped prepare us for the Revolutionary War. He had a beautiful heart and a beautiful spirit. He worked with Thomas Jefferson, and Thomas Jefferson called him one of the great forces for liberty. Don't tell me that immigrants haven't built this state and built this land and contributed more than they've taken from. I want you to look at the old bridge behind me, and I want you to look at the new bridge. The new bridge has towers that span about 280 feet. They are comparable with the Statue of Liberty. They're going to add to this skyline. You have to remember this is just the first span. There's now going to be an identical second span that is built next to it, another set of towers. They're going to be offset. Once the traffic switches over to this bridge, which is going to happen tonight at about 11:30 when the traffic slows down, we'll begin deconstructing the old bridge. The main part will literally be taken down in one piece and lowered onto a barge in the Newtown Creek and floated away. And then we'll start on the second span, and we'll get that done by 2020, and you'll have two bridges with offset towers that are truly going to be magnificent to look at. Last point, Assemblyman Lenthal said he came from a great father and has big shoes to fill, which he does. Bill Rudin comes from big shoes, also Lou Rudin, who is a contemporary of my father, Mario Cuomo. And in many ways, we are the next generation. And the obligation is on us to fill those shoes. The obligation is on us to have learned the lessons that they taught us. And we come from giants. These were not just normal men and women, these were New Yorkers. And they were about drive, and they were about ambition, and they were about courage, and they were about stamina. You couldn't tell them no. You look around this city, you look around this state, it didn't just happen, my friends. It wasn't easy to do what they did. It was hard, and that's why they did it. We have the greatest state in America. We have one of the greatest places on the planet because they built it that way. They willed it that way. They wouldn't take no for an answer. And this is all a built environment. Think about it. Just a few square miles. And they made it into the greatest place on earth with their confidence and their hard work and their dream and their ambition. Somewhere along the way, we sat on the bench a little bit too long, and we've been resting on their legacy. We haven't built a bridge before this bridge. The last bridge was the Verrazano Bridge, 1964. Just think about it. No bridge in over 50 years. Why? Well, because they came before us, and they built this great legacy. And it was so great that it carried us for 50 years. That's how great it was. But it won't carry us for another 50. And as New Yorkers, and as sons and daughters of giants, it's our obligation to learn from them, to learn that lesson, and to advance what they gave us. The mission for every generation is not to take what you were given and preserve it and hand it to your child. The mission of every generation is to take what you were given and build on it and improve it and hand it to the next generation better than you received it. So Assemblyman Lenthal said, maybe we bit off more than we can chew. You know what? We don't have an option, my friends. We don't have an option. We wasted too much time. We were too timid. Government didn't have the competence. We didn't have the political will. We can't go on with LaGuardia Airport. It's not who we are. It's not what New York is. Vice President Joe Biden said it best, maybe a little too honest, a little too candid. He said if you were blindfolded and you landed in LaGuardia Airport and they took off the blindfold, you would think you were in a third world country. A little harsh, but true. We deserve better than LaGuardia Airport. John F. Kennedy, great in its day, but not an airport of today. You get on a plane, you fly around the world, you land in airports, and you see magnificent structures. And then you fly into New York, and you see that we have secondary structures. Our mass transit system, our subway system, way over volume, handling millions more people than they ever expected it to. And we haven't improved it the way we should have along the road. So yes, we're going to build a new JFK and a new LaGuardia. We're going to rebuild Penn Station because that's long overdue. The Kosciuszko Bridge, we're going to rebuild the Queens Midtown Tunnel. We're doing it right now. We're going to rebuild the Battery Park Tunnel. We're going to do that right now. The Ucari Tunnel. We're going to rebuild the Triborough Bridge, a new Tappan Zee Bridge. We're going to rebuild subway stations all across this city. We're going to rebuild the Long Island Railroad with a second track and a third track. And we are going to rebuild this city that was given to us as the greatest city in the greatest state on the globe. And we're going to hand it to our children better and stronger and fairer than it was given to us. That is the obligation of being a New Yorker, to take the gift that we were given and to improve on it when we give it to our children. And that's exactly what we're going to do. You're going to see a light show in a few minutes. It is going to illuminate this bridge in a way you've never seen it illuminated before. It's going to be choreographed to music, and that is just the first. We are going to illuminate every bridge in the harbor of New York the same way. And then we're going to choreograph all the bridges. Tonight you're going to see the Kosciuszko Bridge choreographed with the lights on the Empire State Building. As we continue, you're going to see the lights on the Kosciuszko. Let's do that lesson one more time. The Kosciuszko Bridge. You're going to see it choreographed with the George Washington, with the Verrazano, with the Throgs Neck, with the Whitestone, and you're going to see all these magnificent structures, all through the harbor, all illuminated, all choreographed. I believe it's going to be an international tourism destination like we have never seen before. I think it's going to bring even more tourists to New York and give people more of a reason to come visit us. So thank you for being with us tonight. It's an historic night on many, many fronts. Many people work very long and hard, but to me it represents the best of what New York is all about. We thank the old structure for 78 great years of service, and we look forward to 100 more with this new, better, improved bridge that will leave to our children as a gift from all of us. Enjoy the night. Thank you. God bless.